The night was quiet, but the air was not still. A thick fog moved through the jungle, slow and heavy like a ghost. The Varkon soldiers had never seen such fog before. It covered their lights, blinded their scanners, and swallowed their sounds. One of them whispered, "It's hiding in the mist." Inside the alien camp, fear was spreading fast. They had lost 7 soldiers in 2 days. Some were taken in the dark. Some screamed before they vanished. One soldier said the monster didn't just attack it, watched first. It studied them. Lieutenant Huron stood outside the main tent, holding his weapon tight. His sharp blue eyes stared into the fog. He was a strong Varkon warrior, but even he felt something cold in his chest tonight. The young soldier. Trin checked the motion sensor. Nothing. Just fog. Still, he kept looking over his shoulder. The silence felt too loud. Not far away, hidden on the hill above, the human Jack Voss lay on a tree branch, watching the camp through his binoculars. He saw how they moved, how they feared, how they waited to be hunted. He knew that feeling. He had been here for weeks, maybe months. He lost count. This planet had many strange things, but nothing like the beast in the fog. Jack whispered to himself, "It's not hunting for food, it's hunting fear." He had seen it before, huge armored skin, glowing eyes, long claws that could rip metal. But what scared Jack more was how it moved. Silent, smart. It never attacked fast. It waited for weakness. That night the fog grew thicker. One soldier, Korik, went out to check the power grid. He was only 30 steps away when the scream came. The others rushed out, weapons ready, but they saw nothing, just fog. And Korik was gone, no blood, no body, just his broken communicator on the ground. The camp was in chaos now. Huron shouted, "We must leave this cursed place." But there was no way to call the mothership. The fog blocked all signals. Their ship's systems were jammed. They were trapped up in the trees. Jack watched it all. He thought about helping them, but he also knew the beast was too strong. Even if he warned them, most wouldn't survive, unless they stopped being prey. Jack had a theory. He remembered how the beast once stared at him but didn't attack. He had felt fear but stood still, met its eyes, and didn't move back. It left him alone. That meant something. Maybe the beast didn't want to fight. Maybe it wanted to see who was worthy. He climbed down and moved through the jungle. Like a shadow, quiet, fast. He reached the edge of the camp and left a sign, 3 lines carved on a tree. A message. Trin noticed it the next morning. "This was not here before," he said, showing it to Haran. The captain growled. "A message from the creature." "No," Trin said. "From someone else." That same day, the fog returned thicker than before. Even sunlight couldn't break through. The soldiers stayed close together, afraid to go out. But the fear only made things worse. That night, the beast came again. It didn't roar. It didn't strike first. It just stood beyond the fog, its shadow huge and slow, watching the camp. Trin saw it. So did Jack, from far away. And then Jack did something bold. He lit a flare. A red light shot up into the sky, burning through the fog for a moment. Then, Jack played a loud sound from his old speaker recording of a much larger predator. It was a deep roar. Not from Earth, but from a time he had faced another beast long ago. The fog shook. The jungle held its breath. The beast took one step back. Then another. It growled. But it left. It had never left before. Jack smiled. His idea worked. Down in the camp, the aliens were confused. Why did it leave? Paran asked. It heard something bigger, Trin answered. Or it believed something was bigger. Later that night, Jack left another message in the trees. "It fears strength. Stand tall. Do not run." Trin found it the next day. He didn't know who this human was, but he believed him now. Something about the human felt different. He had watched the beast and survived. That meant he knew something. They died in single quotes. Meanwhile, the beast stood deep in the jungle, staring at the trees where Jack once stood. It tilted its head like it was thinking. This prey was different, and for the first time, the monster hesitated. The jungle was silent again. Not peaceful silent, like something was watching and waiting. The air was heavy, and every sound felt too loud. The Varkon soldiers had built their camp in a small clearing, but even with bright lights and tall fences, they did not feel safe anymore. Captain Huron walked back and forth in the center of the camp. His face was tight with anger, but his eyes showed something else, fear. He had already lost 3 of his men in just one day. Their bodies were never found, just blood and broken gear. "We are the Varkon Empire's strongest soldiers," he growled. "We do not run from animals." But deep inside, he knew this was no normal animal. Private Trin, the youngest soldier in the group, checked the power systems. His hands were shaking. He tried to hide it, but the fear was growing inside him. That afternoon he had seen something in the trees. It had eyes that glowed red, and when he looked back, it was gone. 2 more soldiers were sent out on patrol at sunset. Their job was simple: check the area around the camp and return in 1 hour. They never came back. The radio only caught a few seconds of their last message. "Something is moving. Too fast." It's then static. Nothing more. Captain Huron ordered a full search team. 7 Varkon soldiers, fully armed, moved into the forest with scanners and weapons ready. They walked slowly, checking every shadow. After 30 minutes, they found something. One of the patrol's helmets, cracked in half. No blood, no body. Just deep claw marks in the trees too high for any normal beast. It climbed above us, one soldier said. It's hunting from the trees. No, another whispered. It's playing with us. The search team rushed back to camp. One soldier didn't make it. He slipped away at the back of the group and vanished. That night, Captain Hero stood in front of his remaining soldiers. His voice was loud, but his words felt weak. We are not prey, he said. We will find this thing. We will kill it. But no one believed him. In the jungle, high above in the trees, a man named Jack Voss watched it all through his old binoculars. He had seen the patrol. He had seen the monster follow them. He had even tried to warn them. He had left marks on the trees, signs in the ground. But they hadn't understood. Jack had been on this planet for 3 months. His ship had crashed during a solo scouting mission. Since then, he had learned how to survive. He had seen strange plants, strange weather, and stranger creatures. But this beast, this one was different. He had watched it from a distance. Was huge, maybe 3 meters tall. Its body was like armor. Its eyes glowed red. It didn't eat the bodies. It didn't roar. It only killed what ran. Jack whispered to himself. It doesn't kill for food. It kills to control. He had learned that standing still made the beast pause. When he had first seen it, he had been frozen with fear. But when he refused to move, the beast had stared at him, then walked away. That had given him an idea. Maybe the beast didn't respect weakness. Maybe it respected strength. Back at the camp, Trin sat alone in his tent. He couldn't sleep. Every shadow outside felt alive. He looked at a small metal tag around his neck. It had his sister's name. He whispered a promise to her. I'll come home. I'll survive. Then he heard something. Not loud, not close, but heavy. Something large had stepped outside the camp's outer wall. Trin grabbed his weapon and rushed outside. Others followed. The lights around the fence flashed for a second and then they saw it. A dark shape moved just behind the fence. Big, tall, too fast. One soldier opened fire. The gunshots lit up the trees. But when the light faded, the beast was already gone. All they found were deep footprints in the mud, and a bloody helmet belonging to the missing patrol member. Captain Heron ordered everyone inside. No more patrols, he said. From now on, we protect the camp only. But Jack knew that wouldn't work. The beast didn't fear walls. It didn't fear weapons. It hunted fear itself, and these aliens were full of it. That night, Jack set up a new trap. He had studied the creature's path. He left a decoy, an old piece of Varkon armor filled with heat wires to trick the beast's senses. But the beast didn't fall for it. Instead, it left something behind. A claw mark on the tree closest to Jack's shelter. It knew he was there. It had seen him. It had chosen not to attack. Jack stared at the mark for a long time and whispered, why? Fog rolled in like a silent wave, covering the jungle with thick white mist. The trees disappeared. The ground vanished. The Varkon soldiers could not see more than 5 steps ahead. The camp lights blinked uselessly in the fog. Everything felt trapped in a dream or a nightmare. Captain Hurren stood at the center of the camp shouting orders. Stay close. No patrols. No movement. His voice echoed but sounded small in the heavy air. The soldiers were tired. Their eyes were red from no sleep. Fear had eaten their courage. The monster had killed again last night. One more soldier taken. No sound, no scream. Just gone. Private Trin sat near a power unit, holding his rifle tight. He tried not to blink. His ears listened for every sound. A crack, a growl, a breath, but the fog gave nothing back. The scanners were useless now. The fog blocked all signals. Even their ship's sensors were blind. The jungle outside was full of secrets. And something was moving in them. Far away, up in the hills, Jack Voss moved quietly through the trees. He had wrapped his boots with soft cloth to silence his steps. His eyes scanned the mist, alert. He knew the beast was near. He could feel it, like the air itself was warning him. Jack had been watching the Varkon camp from a distance. He saw the panic grow each day. He saw the fear build, and he knew the creature was feeding on it, not eating their bodies, but their terror. He remembered his first time seeing it. Its body was thick like a tank, muscles covered in bone like armor. It moved without sound. Its eyes were red, glowing like fire in the dark, but it hadn't attacked him. Not that day. Jack believed it sensed his calm, or maybe his challenge. He didn't run, he didn't show fear. And the beast had backed off. Now he had a plan. Moved closer to the Varkon camp, hiding behind vines and stone. He didn't want to fight the creature with weapons. That wouldn't work. He had to fight it with something else, something it couldn't kill. Confidence. Back in the camp, noticed something strange. Marks on a tree just outside the fence. 3 lines scratched into the bark, lean deep, and even. He pointed. Sir, these weren't here yesterday. Captain Hurren looked, made by the beast. No, Trin said. Too clean, too smart. I think someone's watching us.
Another
animal? Hurren asked. Trin shook his head. A man. The fog got thicker as the day faded. The jungle became one gray wall. The Varkons turned up their lights, but even the strongest beam could not break the mist. They didn't know it yet, but the beast was already watching. Its shadow moved slowly beyond the trees. It didn't attack. Not yet. It waited. It always waited. And Jack was ready. He had set a flare high in a tree, wired to a simple timer. Next to it, a speaker was hidden under thick leaves. It held a sound he recorded months ago, a roar from a giant creature on another part of this planet. The same sound he had once used to scare away predators. He sat on a branch nearby, watching with binoculars. His heart was calm. His breath was steady. Then light. The flare shot up, burning red through the fog. The jungle lit up for 2 seconds. The speaker roared like thunder. The beast froze. For the first time since it appeared, it stepped back. Its huge body turned slowly and vanished into the white fog. Jack lowered his binoculars and whispered, "So you can feel fear too." At the camp, the Varkons saw the red flare in the sky. They ran to the fences, confused and shouting, "What was that? Who fired it?" "No one from here," Trin said. Then they heard the roar. It didn't come from the beast. It was something else, bigger, louder. And that was the moment the soldiers realized the beast had left. Captain Heron stared into the fog. "It was running," he said in disbelief. "But from what?" The next morning, the fog lifted. The jungle looked calm again, but everyone knew the peace was fake. Trin walked to the tree again. Now, a new message had appeared. A line carved beneath the first 3. "It fears strength. Do not run." Trin looked up at the trees. He couldn't see anyone, but he felt someone was there. Somewhere out in the jungle, a human was helping them, and he understood the monster better than they did. High in the hills, Jack packed his gear and moved again. He didn't smile, but his eyes were sharper now. He had seen what the beast feared now. He just had to teach the aliens how not to be preyed, because the fog would return, and next time the beast would test them again. Captain Heron stood in the middle of the alien camp, his armor dusty, his face pale. His hands gripped the edge of the command table, but his fingers shook. He tried to hide it. He was a Varkon warrior, trained for battle, but this was not war. It was something worse. It was fear. The fog had come and gone. The beast had attacked and vanished. And now a new problem haunted his mind. The human. A message had been carved into a tree. Simple Varkon writing. "It fears strength. Do not run." The soldiers were confused. Some were hopeful, but Heron was angry. How dare this human interfere in our mission? He snapped. Private Trin, quiet but brave, stood near the camp wall. He looked at the message again. "He's trying to help us, sir." "He's a threat," Heron growled. "We do not take help from animals." But deep inside, Heron knew the human was right. That evening, the camp was silent. No birds, insects, no wind. The jungle was holding its breath again. Everyone felt it. The beast was near. Trin checked the fence sensors. Still dead. The fog had damaged the tech. Their long-range comms were offline. No help was coming. Jack Voss watched from a distance. He was higher up the slope, hiding in a tree with thick leaves. He saw the aliens moving like scared children. He sighed. They were not cowards, but they were broken. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a sharp metal rod. With it, he carved a second message into a nearby rock. "Fear is the weapon. Stand like stone." Then he moved again. The fog was returning. In the command tent, Heron stared at a flickering screen. He slammed his fist on the table. "Enough," he shouted. "I will face the beast myself. I will show it who commands this world." "Captain, please," Trin said, stepping forward. "This is what it wants. We're playing its game. I'm not afraid." Huron shouted, but his eyes told a different story. Just then, a loud crash echoed through the trees. A soldier screamed. The camp lights blinked. The fence shook. The beast had come. All soldiers ran for cover, weapons ready, eyes wide. Trin stayed, low, watching the shadows. He could feel the fear in everyone. He could hear it in their breathing. Even the toughest soldiers were shaking. And then Captain Heron ran. He turned and sprinted into the trees, yelling orders, firing wildly into the jungle. The soldiers were shocked. He was supposed to lead, but he had lost his mind. Jack saw it all. He shook his head. "You never show your back," he whispered. The beast charged. Not at the camp, after Heron. The captain's loud armor made him easy to follow. He crashed through bushes, fell, got up again, and kept running. His heart pounded, his legs burned. His mind broke. Then the trees in front of him shook him. The beast stepped out. It was huge, covered in black bone plates. Its red eyes glowed like fire. Heron screamed and fired. Bullets bounced off its chest. The beast growled low, then attacked. Back at the camp, the soldiers heard the scream, but it was cut short. Trin looked at the jungle. His voice was quiet. "He's gone." No one moved. Then something strange happened. The beast didn't attack the camp. It left. It had made its point. The next morning, Trin found the second message. "Fear is the weapon. Stand like stone." He showed it to the others. They listened. "This time, who is this human?" one asked. "Someone who survived," Trin answered. "Someone who understands." That night, the beast returned. It walked along the trees, not hidden, not rushing. It wanted them to panic, but Trin stood still. The other soldiers joined him. No one fired. No one ran. They stood tall, weapons down, eyes steady. The beast stopped. It sniffed the air. It waited, but no fear came. And so, It turned and vanished into the trees up above. Jack smiled. They were learning. He knew the war wasn't over. The beast would test them again, but now they had a chance. They were no longer just prey. They were something else. They were fighting back with courage. The jungle was quiet again, but not because it was safe. It was quiet because something strong had changed. The soldiers of the Varkon camp had lost their captain, but they had also lost their fear, at least for one night. Private Trin sat near the broken fence. His eyes stared at the jungle where the beast had vanished. The message carved in stone still echoed in his mind. Fear is the weapon. Stand like stone. That night, no one ran, no one fired, and the beast had walked away. He looked up at the trees. Somewhere out there, the human was still watching. Jack Voss sat on a high tree branch, drinking rainwater from a leaf. His body was tired, but his mind was clear. He had seen something important. The aliens had changed. They didn't panic. They didn't scream. They had stood tall. He smiled a little. "You're learning," he whispered, but he knew the beast would not give up easily. It was smart. It would come back, and next time, it would test them harder. The next morning, Trin gathered the remaining soldiers. There were only 12 left now. Tired, scared, but breathing. He stepped forward. "We need to prepare. The beast isn't gone. But we're not helpless anymore," one soldier asked. "You want to fight it?" "No," Trin said. "We stand against it together like stone." The others looked at each other slowly. They nodded. Trin had no rank. He was not a leader by rule, but he had something better belief. That same day, Jack decided to take a greater risk. He moved closer to the camp. Using old signal wires and small stones, he left another message near their power core one they could not miss. "I can help, if you're ready to listen." The message worked. Later that night, Trin stood at the edge of the forest. His heart was beating fast. He looked up into the trees and said quietly, "We're listening." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, a branch moved. Shadow dropped down. Slowly, carefully, a human stepped out. Trin stared. The man wore torn clothes and animal skin over his shoulders. His beard was thick, his eyes calm. He held no weapon. "Jack Voss," the man said. "Trin," the alien replied. There was a long silence. No one moved. Then Jack said, "You're not prey anymore," Trin asked. "How do we stop it?" "You don't," Jack said. "You survive it. You train for it. You become what it fears." Over the next few days, Jack worked with Trin and the others. He showed them how to move without fear, how to stand their ground, how to use the jungle like a shield. They built traps not to kill the beast, but to hold their ground. They practiced calm breathing, eye contact, and stillness. "If you break," Jack said, "the beast will break you." One soldier broke during a test run. He panicked and fell. Jack helped him up and said, "Fall once, stand twice." But the jungle was not patient. On the fourth night, the fog returned thicker than ever. The trees vanished. The wind stopped. The beast returned out. It didn't sneak this time. It walked into the camp, slow and loud. The ground shook. The fire pits went dark. Trin stood at the front. Behind him stood Jack and the other soldiers, shoulder to shoulder. The beast stepped forward. Its eyes glowed like fire. Its claws dragged across the dirt. It growled. Jack didn't blink. Trin didn't move. The beast circled once, then roared a deep shaking sound that made the trees tremble. Still, no one ran. Jack took one step forward. The beast stared at him and then it stopped. Its head tilted. Its red eyes locked with Jack's. It didn't attack. It turned and walked away again when it was gone. The camp was silent. Then one soldier whispered, "We made it leave." Again Jack turned to Trin. "You didn't beat it with guns. You didn't beat it with guns. You beat it with courage." Trin asked, "Will it come back?" Jack looked at the fog. "Yes, but next time it will come for me." That night, Jack sat alone outside the camp. He knew the beast was watching, waiting. It didn't see him as prey, but it still saw him as a threat. And threats must be tested. He whispered into the night, "I'm ready." And somewhere deep in the trees, the beast listened. The night air was heavier than ever. The fog hadn't returned, but the jungle was still too quiet. No animals, no wind, not even insects. It was the kind of silence that warned of something big, something final. Jack Voss stood outside the Varkon camp with his arms crossed. His face was calm, but his eyes watched every shadow. He knew what was coming. He could feel it in his bones. "The beast is near," he said softly. Private Trin stood beside him, holding his weapon low. He wasn't afraid like before. Not frozen, not panicking, but ready. He looked at Jack. "How do you know?" Jack answered. "Because it's not hunting anymore. It's challenging." Inside the camp, the remaining Varkon soldiers finished building their defenses. Not walls, not traps, but open space, a stand zone, just like Jack had shown them. "No hiding," Jack had said. "No running. Just stand tall, breathe, and look it in the eye." The soldiers had practiced every day, and now the final test was coming. But this time, it wasn't just a test for them. It was for Jack too. As darkness fell, the jungle groaned under something unseen. Trees moved, but no wind blew. Leaves shifted, but no animals ran. And then they heard it. One deep roar. It came from the east, then another. From the west. Then silence again. Trin raised his head. "There's more than one." Jack shook his head. No, just one. But it wants us to think it's everywhere. The soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder. No shields, no panic. They had learned from Jack, they had learned from pain, and now they would face it. Together the trees shook, the ground rumbled, and from the shadows it stepped out the beast. It was even larger now. Its black armor reflected firelight. Its claws scraped the stone. Its red eyes scanned every soldier. It growled low, like thunder inside the earth, but no one moved. Jack took one step forward. The beast saw him. It snarled and walked closer. Jack didn't flinch. He stood tall, his feet planted, hands at his sides, eyes locked with the monster's. "You know me," Jack said. "And I know you." The beast roared a roar so loud it made the trees bend, but Jack didn't move, and neither did the Varkons. They had trained for this. They had bled for this. They were ready. The beast moved fast, straight toward Jack. Trin reached for his weapon, but Jack raised a hand. "No," he said calmly. "Not yet." The beast stopped just 2 steps away from Jack. Its breath, with heart, its teeth were sharp, but it didn't attack. It waited. It wanted to see weakness, but Jack gave it none. He took a deep breath, and then he roared back. A loud human roar, not as deep, not as powerful, but filled with something the beast couldn't break will. The jungle went silent again. The beast stepped back, its head turned slightly, confused. It looked at Jack, then at the Varkons, still standing like stone, and for the first time in all these weeks, the beast lowered its head. Then it turned and walked away. No one spoke, not even Jack. They just watched as the beast disappeared into the trees, leaving only deep footprints in the dirt. Then Trin whispered, "Did we win?" Jack answered slowly, "We didn't win. We earned respect." The next morning, the jungle was full of life again. Birds sang, leaves danced in the wind. The fog didn't return. Something had changed. The Varkon ship's systems came back online. The signal was clear. A rescue ship was on its way. But Jack stood at the edge of the jungle looking out. Trin walked up to him. "Come with us," he said. "You saved us." Jack smiled. "This planet, it knows me now. And I know it. There's more out there. Things you haven't seen, things I still need to face." Trin nodded. "Will we see you again?" Jack looked at the trees. "If the beast returns," he said, "you'll know what to do." He turned and disappeared. Into the jungle, the Varkons left 2 days later. Their report to command was simple. Human male, status unknown, threat level unknown, courage unmatched. And somewhere deep in the green, the beast stood atop a cliff, watching the sunrise. It roared once, not in anger, but in honor. The sky above the jungle was clear now. No fog, no thunder, just sunlight breaking through the trees like golden rivers. Birds sang again. The wind moved the leaves softly. It was as if the planet itself had calmed down. The Varkon rescue ship landed in the clearing, its engines roaring for just a few seconds before powering down. Soldiers rushed out, confused at first, expecting battle. But what they found was peace. Private Trin stood waiting for them. His armor was scratched, his face tired, but his eyes were sharp. The others stood behind him, silent, proud, alive. "Where is your commanding officer?" the rescue pilot asked. Trin replied, "Gone." The jungle took him, and the threat. Trin looked toward the forest, gone to high above in the trees. Jack Voss watched the Varkons load their gear. He stayed hidden. He didn't want applause. He didn't want a reward. He just wanted to make sure they left whole. He whispered, "You earned your way out." He turned and walked deeper into the jungle, a backpack on his shoulders and a blade at his side. The planet was his home now, and the silence between him and the beast was a peace they both understood. As the rescue ship flew off, one soldier looked out the window. He saw something far below, a human figure standing tall on a cliff. The figure raised a hand in farewell, or maybe in warning. And then the clouds covered him. Weeks passed, then months. The story of the jungle spread across the Varkon Empire. They called it the planet of fear, and the soldiers who returned were never the same. They spoke of a creature that hunted fear. They spoke of how no gun could kill it. But most of all, they spoke of the human. In military halls, alien officers asked questions. How did he survive? Why didn't the beast kill him? And no one had the full answer, because no one truly understood what Jack had become. He was not a soldier anymore. He was not a survivor. He was a symbol, a lesson, a myth. Children of the Varkon would whisper tales at night. "There's a human out there who walked through fear like it was smoke." He roared at the monster and it ran. He stood taller than the beast itself. Some said he was still alive. Some said the jungle made him part of itself. And some said he and the beast now walked side by side, watching all who entered. One day, years later, a young Varkon scout team landed on the same planet for training. They had read the reports, they had studied the files, but they didn't believe in legends. Not yet. As they moved through the trees, they found strange carvings in stone, symbols, marks, and one message scratched deeply into the bark of a tall tree. "Do not fear the beast." Fear giving in to fear itself. They stood in silence. Suddenly the jungle didn't feel so quiet. One of them whispered, "Do you think he's still here?" Another answered, "If he is, he's watching." And from the trees above, a shadow moved. Silent. Calm and unseen. Back on the Varkon homeworld, Trin rose through the ranks. He became a leader not because of power, but because of the strength he had learned in that jungle. He often stood in the training halls, telling new soldiers, "One lesson. Your weapon is not your gun. It is your heart. If you stand tall, even monsters will bow." Every time he told the story, he looked at the stars beyond the window and smiled, because he knew Jack was still out there and the legend lived on. On a quiet night far across space, the wind moved through the jungle once more. Jack sat by a small fire, sharpening his blade. Beside him the beast lay curled, breathing slowly. It opened one red eye, then closed it again. They were not enemies, not anymore, just survivors, who had conquered fear. Together,